two gentlemen that are always willing to withstand all the crazy introductions and comments that I leave every week. They are the notorious Mr. Beagle and Captain Shenanigans. As we approach the final hour, by the way, if anyone hasn't figured this out, we are actually recording during the final game of the NFL season, which is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington Redskins. We are in the third quarter, and it is a tie game, no surprise.
4:25 left, 7-7.
Yep.
And I want to talk about something that we had originally discussed earlier. Is this, in fact, the best rookie class since 1983?
Yes. In fact, I will say it is better than 1983.
Arguably, but let's see what happens.
Based on how those rookies looked after the 83 season and how these rookies looked after the 2012 season, these rookies looked better after their first year. What'll happen in 20 years when they're done playing is anybody's guess.
The thing is that with the class of 83, the teams that their respective players got drafted to were terrible, and they built the teams around them. It's not so the case with this year, where the teams were 1 or 2 or 3 players shy of having a competitive team. Case in point, the Redskins. You know, in my opinion, and it's a touchdown!
Robert Griffin III, and he's definitely one of our...
How do you like the sound of them apples?
We'll explain the captain's excitement.
Enthusiasm?
A little later.
Yeah. Robert Griffin III, I'm not surprised with how he's done. Andrew Luck, not surprised, but how about Russell Wilson?
Not surprised.
Really?
Because I am a fan of Big Ten football, and I watched him at Wisconsin.
I think you're the only fan of Big Ten football.
Okay, what about Trent Richardson? You forgot about see, it's not just the quarterbacks.
I know. Trent
That's
Richardson,
true.
You've also got Alfred Morris on Washington.
Mm-hmm. Brandon Weeden. You got all 3 rookie kickers who are doing much better than the veterans.
Much better, yeah. Replaced veterans in each of their cases, too. Yeah.
Rumor has it. Let's talk about that whole ordeal that happened once again with our lowly Jets this past week. The whole ordeal about Tebow stepping up after somebody claimed he didn't want to be the Wildcat quarterback, and suddenly Rex Ryan gets thrown into the mix by saying the statement of, if Woody Johnson does not get me some offensive guys and a new offensive coordinator, I'm quitting the team. Both Tebow and Ryan have denied those statements. What is true and what is false?
That's a clown
I
question,
think both are false, partly. The actual statements are false, but I think they have a little bit of truth behind them. And there's only one person I know on that team who's not going to be here next year besides Tebow, because he definitely wants out because he was definitely misused.
Oh, yeah.
I felt so bad for him.
And that's Tony Sparano, who didn't know what he was doing as an OC.
Well,
he looked like... I mean, they only gave him 1 season. And yes, Sanchez was playing exceptionally Sancheesy this year. The entire offensive line has been plagued with injuries, you know, so it's... I don't think he got a fair share, but the Jets are definitely shafting him.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen, and I don't know who else is going to leave or who else is going to stay, but I'll tell you one thing. The person who I feel is someone that needs to be let go is Tannenbaum, and look,
yeah,
I gotta tell you something. I truly feel bad for Tim Tebow, and I blame it on Tannenbaum because of the fact that he brought him over, and I wonder how this guy, even though he has made enough money for himself to sustain, how does a guy truly feel knowing that he's ruined possibly somebody's career?
I wouldn't say he ruined the career. He never had the chance to shine like he did last year, because the situation in Denver last year was laughable. It was beyond circus in New York this year. Yeah, but they never gave Tebow the chance to do what he does best.
Mr. Beagle, what are you saying?
I'm saying that last year when he was in Denver, John Fox literally restructured the entire offense around Tim Tebow.
But they needed that.
Sparano didn't, neither Sparano nor Ryan wanted to do that, and they must have seen in practice that he wouldn't flourish under a normal offensive scheme.
Well, look how he played in Florida.
Exactly, but
that's
they tailored the offense around
Tebow.
The Ryan and Sparano refused to do that.
Well, it's under assumption that Ryan didn't want Tebow on the team to begin with, and that's one of the reasons why Tannenbaum is going to get the axe.
Unless they say it, I don't believe any other rumors.
Who's they? What the hell is Doug Martin?
So as the playoff picture unfolds, let's talk about the three gentlemen at the end of the season that really did make a statement. One of them, of course, was Calvin Johnson, surpassing Jerry Rice as the most receiving yards of a wide receiver.
I was actually watching that game on quote-unquote Monday Night Football on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I want to publicly say that I think John Gruden is a beep.
Yeah, he's a total...
I mean, he said that
there's not
half
enough
of
beeps.
Calvin Johnson's yards were pointless.
Garbage yards,
Because,
I
yeah.
believe was the exact quote.
Because the Lions didn't really come close to winning those games, and it was just in garbage time that he got it.
You know
the
what?
fact is, he still got it, and those defenses don't really let up. Okay, this is the professionals. You don't stop playing just because you're ahead.
Calvin Johnson got it legitimately. He broke the record legitimately, and I say more power to the guy. Every time John Gruden is on the screen, that's garbage time.
Yes.
Do you actually think that the Lions are going to let Calvin go, or do you think they're actually going to hold
If they
on
were
to him?
smart, they shouldn't let
I
him go.
think they should keep him.
That's a very, very tough question. It depends what they could get for him. You know, they're not going to just let him go.
No.
They might trade him for a couple of really good players.
Maybe picks also in the draft.
I don't know about picks. He you know what, quite honestly, I think he's worth more than picks.
Oh, of course.
I can only think of two people in the NFL who have as much skill and as soft as hands as Calvin Johnson. That's Dwayne Bowe and Larry Fitzgerald.
But do you think they would do as well as Calvin Johnson did in the Detroit offense?
I think they would.
Because I think Calvin
Stafford-
Johnson definitely flourished under Stafford.
Here's the problem:
That's
is
his
that
that's Stafford's go-to guy.
they have no running game. That's
No,
why the
they
Lions only won 5 or 6 games. How many games did they win?
Four.
They won four games all season.
Yeah.
If they had a capable running back, you know, quite honestly, they might be able to trade for Felix Jones on Dallas. Because right now he's relegated to a backup role to DeMarco Murray, and he could be a first stringer. He's good enough.
Good enough, but could he flourish in Detroit?
Well, here's
It's
the
a
thing.
hard
They
place
get
to
Javid
be.
Best back next year.
Oh, that's right. He was lost to injury in what, the second week?
He was on IR early.
Yeah.
That's 2 years in a row.
Come
he's left
on,
early.
get him. Oh, you're good at that.
Andrew Luck, surpassing the rookie quarterback
Hey, set by Cam Newton.
set by Cam Newton last year. The amount of yards thrown for a starting rookie quarterback.
Yep.
I'll tell you
Good
one
for
thing.
him.
He did not have a strong starting season, but in the end, he really got his team together, and he officially took control. And look at where they are. They're heading to the playoffs.
I just have to interrupt for a second. It is now the end of the third quarter, folks. Washington has 14 points. Dallas has 7.
Mr. Beagle, you and Captain, your thoughts on Andrew Luck?
I honestly didn't think he was going to do as well as he did. He definitely showed me something that I didn't see in his college days. He showed poise, which I really didn't see in his college days. He had good command of the field, but he didn't show patience in the pocket. And this year he did. Something about, I will say that the coaching staff worked wonders with this kid.
Boy.
Speaking of the coaching staff, very
boy.
glad to see Chuck Pagano back on the field.
It was
finally.
nice, yeah.
Very nice. And he got a victory, too, which is even
You know
sweeter.
what? It's something to rally around, and it works especially well in sports. The thing about Andrew Luck is that it was a good choice for the Colts in the long run. I get that's why he's my forerunner for winning Rookie of the Year.
Now, the complete reversal, just in case no one has actually heard, Andy Reid was given the axe today.
Yes, he
That's
was.
correct. As I predicted, y'all.
So now we go to the other man that I feel should have set the record this year, but he missed it by 9 yards, and that
Actually-
was Adrian Peterson.
Actually, after the game, they increased his total number by 1, so he missed
Oh,
it
it was
by
by
8
10
yards.
Oh, 8
Really?
yards. Oh, they
Wow.
gave him the extra yard at the end.
Yeah,
I really
gotcha.
thought he was going to get it. I really did.
But you
He
know
was
what?
8 yards short. That's nothing short of amazing.
I kind of like the fact that he didn't get it because I think they forced it too much, and that's why Minnesota almost lost.
Correct. You know what? We were watching the end of the game. It was way too close, and they just kept giving it to Adrian Peterson. Not that it's a bad thing,
No.
but they didn't set up their offense the way they should have in order to give Peterson the chance to do it. They just kept handing him the ball hoping for 4 more yards.
So this is going to be a very interesting episode today, especially since it is the last week of regular season. But before I give you all the breakdown, Captain Shenanigans, as always, do that thing you do and give us some station identification.
All right, folks. As you already know, and even if you start in the middle of the season, we're at week, 17? 17 already.
We're at the end.
By God, if you don't realize this is football goulash already, you've been living under a very comfortable rock.
So, this is going to be a very interesting week because we actually went in reverse. Mr. Beagle, I'd like you to explain to the folks the beauty that we call the honor system.
Give them
All right, so this is the way it worked out this week. Because it's the last week, we made our picks in secret. We had a deadline of 11:59 p.m. on Thursday night because all games are on Sunday. So, and this gave us a chance to actually look at the injury reports and see the actives and inactives, even though some extras were thrown in on Sunday morning.
Unlike previous episodes we've done, where we just had a guess before the injury reports were out. This time, we worked it all based on what we've heard Thursday. So
yeah. So
it worked out to
we made our picks in secret and then revealed them after the 1 o'clock games.
Correct.
And the long and short of it is, the captain and I, thanks to the captain and I. Well, first of all, we should probably read off the standings.
Yeah,
we will.
Yes.
But before we do that, we're going to go to the two-a-days because we still have one more two-a-day left to do.
Well, let's explain what the deal is with this, because I bet all of our listeners are probably wondering what the hell is
we will get to that.
Why is the captain rooting for Washington?
So we have 2 more conferences, 2 more divisions to go through. And that was probably the 2 most exciting ones to watch this entire season.
Absolutely.
It was the AFC and the NFC North.
Who comes out on top? No, really, who comes out on top?
Neither the Ravens nor the Steelers are going to do much this year.
I'm going to have to go with the Ravens because their offense has improved, their defense is the same core of guys, and they've been good for the past 10 years.
The Ravens are just too darn strong.
The Steelers just don't cut it anymore.
It's a crapshoot of geriatric warfare out there.
A team like the Bengals and the Browns, who have not really improved and have never really been good.
I think the Bengals are like the $6 million man. We can make them faster, we can make them stronger.
I think the Bengals, who are a young team who showed us what they can do last year, I think that they're a year more experienced. Dalton and Green are a 1-2 punch that I can't think of a single defense that can put up with that. Not one. There's only 2 words you got to know about the NFC North. The Bears.
The Bears are just, if they're going to stay healthy, they're going to be so strong.
I'm going to go with the holy trifecta here. Bears, Packers, Lions, Vikings.
Green Bay is just not who they were.
The Packers are just not the same.
I see some things from Detroit, but they're not going to make the same splash they did last year. And unfortunately, I really don't see anything from Minnesota.
Everybody knows the Lions' shenanigans at this point.
Unless the Lions can really just show me something, I don't see the Vikings having a bad season, though.
If the Bears stay healthy and they win the NFC North, they are your Super Bowl champions.
I hate to say that at this point, we unfortunately have one of us whose Super Bowl game winner is no longer in the playoffs. And I will say one thing, I am shocked at that.
I'm embarrassed, actually.
I'm very embarrassed by those guys.
They won in convincing fashion today. It's pathetic. They should have won the past 3 weeks in a row, but they blew it, and that's why they were in such a situation today.
They went 3-5 in their last 8 games. How about the Vikings?
Oh, yeah.
The Vikings surprised the hell out of me.
Vikings were very surprising.
On paper, and without Percy Harvin, I really didn't think they could have pulled it off.
I don't think Percy Harvin is as much of a game changer as he used to be.
But you want to know what's really funny?
Game.
What was really funny was
but how often does that happen in a regular football game anymore?
With him, once a game.
Once a game.
Here's an interesting fun fact, guys. All of us originally had the exact same standings for the NFC North. We all had it Bears, Packers, Lions, Vikings.
Yeah.
I understood why Mr. Beagle said he did, because he had his doubts that Adrian Peterson may not be what he was, but I think we were all proven wrong.
Who knew
I think
Robo-Tendons would have done what he did this year?
The entire league was proven wrong by Adrian Peterson this year.
Yeah.
And the Packers, of course, captured the top spot, although I really don't think that they were playing as good as they used to.
Well, they're not the same team.
You know what? Yeah, they
believe it or not, they're actually weaker on defense than they were last year.
Which is saying something, because,
Now, as far as the AFC North goes, this is the first year, I don't know the actual fact, but maybe someone can help me here. When was the last time that the Pittsburgh Steelers did not make the playoffs?
It's got to be at least
2004.
So it has been 9 years since the Steelers have not. 8 years since the Steelers have not been in the playoffs. Talk about a sheer collapse of dynasty.
And your captain, folks, called it at the beginning of this season.
And now the Ravens have the longest active continuous streak of making the playoffs.
5 seasons
Which is
in
5
a row.
seasons in a row.
Yeah.
Before it was the Steelers.
Crazy.
The Browns actually had somewhat of a decent season this year.
They started playing like a team halfway through the season.
And then they stopped in the last few weeks.
And then they stopped in the last couple of weeks.
But I will say that they're in prime position to get a good draft pick. A couple of good draft picks,
They
actually.
get number 3,
They also let Shermer go.
No, 4.
No, 4? Oh, all right.
Yeah, they did fire Pat Shermer.
They did fire Pat Shermer.
Although, quite honestly,
is left by the end of the season.
Halfway through the season, Holmgren left. No, he left the organization completely now.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's what it was.
I am foreshadowing, depending on what they do in the offseason, Cleveland makes a run for it next season. They're in a prime position. They've got a good young core, especially on defense. With Hayden.
I can say
leading the team. Let me tell you something. And Fujita, if they hold on to their core players on defense, they will be a force in the AFC.
And the Bengals had a great season this year. They really did.
I'm saying this right now. The Ravens are not going to repeat as AFC North champions. I'm going to say it right now. The Steelers are going to end up in either 3rd or last place next season.
I'd be very interested to see that happen.
The Ravens are going to end up in either 2nd or 3rd. And the top spot is most likely going to belong to the Bengals.
Because here's the thing.
The Browns can make a good run of it.
I don't know about the Bengals taking the top spot.
I think they can.
Dalton and Green have yet to really do what they do.
They are so young, and they have such a cast around them that if they draft smart, then they can have a legitimate contender team next year.
Now, you see, I see the Steelers making a comeback next season.
I don't.
Because Mike Tomlin is a coaching genius.
He is, but they have to draft smart because they're getting old, and they have to get rid of some of these players that are weighing them down.
That's exactly what they're going to do.
That was the thing that happened. You take a look at this Steelers team. All of a sudden, their running game was in shambles. Mendenhall and Redmond, I don't know what in God's name got into their heads.
Proved his nickname that we've given him.
Polamalu cannot give their
past his prime.
He cannot give them a full season.
I like the guy.
Cannot do it.
I like the guy. He was a fantastic player. I think he's a Hall of Famer, but he is past his prime at this point.
And I also think
he deserves to be on another team right now.
And dare I say it, I think it may in fact be time for Ben to start coaching a rookie quarterback.
Replacement.
He should start.
I don't know about coaching
He's still young,
but setting an example for a rookie quarterback. I think.
Yeah, they got to draft a quarterback, and they got to get the heir apparent.
He's got to be Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. That's what he's got to do.
True.
That's
Except,
what
you know
Aaron Rodgers
Rodgers got shafted by years of far being selfish.
Even though I can't stand this guy, how about what Drew Bledsoe did for Tom Brady?
No,
I don't think so, because they're 2 very different quarterbacks.
That was a luck of the draw right there. If it weren't for Mo Lewis, okay, Tom Brady would have never happened.
And here's what I see. I think the Steelers are going to have the most active offseason in the NFL out of any of the teams.
We're going to hear a lot.
I think they're going to draft a rookie quarterback, not in the 1st round, maybe in the 3rd or 4th round. He's going to carry a clipboard for the first 2 or 3 years, kind of like the way that Greg McElroy has done. And I think that Roethlisberger is going to be the starter for Pittsburgh for at least the next 2 or 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
And mentor the other new kid.
All right.
At least that's the way it should go.
Yes, that's what they should do. What they're
actually going to do.
I have no idea.
And depending, how they draft or trade or whatnot, that doesn't guarantee a winning season. I mean, look at the Eagles last season and this season.
Honestly, I think they're going to trade a lot of the guys under contract on the defense.
Again, they should, because
I think
their defense was sad.
Foot is gone.
Yeah.
And I think Timmons is gone.
Really?
Yeah.
You think they're going to keep Polamalu at
Yes.
least one more season?
At least one more season.
I think he's going to retire a Steeler, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tally.
The tally, yes.
We're
Let's
not
lay it out,
including.
folks.
We're not including what has happened this entire week. We're starting where we were
okay.
at week 16. So before these games began today, we had a tie between Captain Shenanigans and the notorious Mr. Beagle at 145, 92, and 1, and I am officially mathematically out of it at 139, 98, and 1.
At
You
that
weren't
point, you weren't out of it
yeah,
yet.
you weren't eliminated until halfway through
But-
today.
Because you
Yeah.
were 6 games behind, we had to win. One of us had to win at least 11 games this week
Yeah.
in order for you to be mathematically eliminated.
But on
and
that
that's
note-
only if you had a perfect day.
But on that note, we're in a very interesting conundrum
Oh,
here.
yes, we are.
Yes.
We're watching we're watching the last game of the NFL season for
10 minutes and
2012.
40 seconds of it. Exactly.
Yep.
And
Now,
this is why.
we've
so-
got Alfred
Run,
Morris.
stupid!
Dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have been hearing the enthusiastic sounds of Captain Shenanigans, Washington Redskins have just scored another touchdown.
Yep.
Now, interestingly, this is not because the captain has picked Washington and I picked Dallas. I actually also picked Washington, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yes,
Well,
we're
explain how this works
going to
out, yeah.
discuss why this game is so important, because if you have been listening since the very beginning of this,
And you should have.
all know that Captain Shenanigans announced that on live YouTube he would eat a shoe if the Dallas Cowboys captured the NFC East, which is what Mr. Beagle predicted. But
called him
at the
crazy.
same time,
Yeah.
this game
On the snap.
is still going to result in a finale tiebreaker?
Well, sort of, and here's the way it's going to work.
Lay it out.
Okay, for all the 1 o'clock games, the captain got 1 wrong. I got 2 wrong.
I was
so then
8-1,
I
you were
was
7-2.
Right. So then I was down by 1.
one, yeah.
However, in the 4 o'clock games, we only
Sorry.
differed on 1 game. So if the game we differed on, I won, we would have been tied again. And I picked
Which is
Minnesota,
exactly what
and
happened.
you picked
I
the Packers.
Green Bay. I thought, yeah, hey.
And
listen,
Minnesota
legitimate.
won. So we are tied. And
Yep.
for this last game, we both picked Washington. So no matter what happened in this game, we will end the season tied. So
Tied.
here's how the tiebreaker is going to work. Because
It was agreed between the 3 of us in a
Yes.
gentlemanly bet.
Well, no, because I actually said that if there was a tie, I was going to get to wear the belt for just 1 day.
No.
No. So here's what I came up with, and the captain agreed up to this.
I think it makes sense.
Because I made as the captain would say, an audacious prediction
Oh, yeah.
of the Cowboys winning the NFC East. Even though I picked the Redskins, if the Cowboys won this game, then I would win the tiebreaker, and then I would get the belt, and he
Yeah.
would have to eat a shoe.
Yep.
If the Redskins won, he would not have to eat his shoe,
And I would win
and he
outright.
would win outright the
Yeah.
belt.
I
Yep.
want a burgundy suit on one of y'all.
Right now, the Redskins are up by 11.
And there's
with
plenty of football
just,
left.
there's-
just
yeah, there's
under
about
10
10
minutes to go in the
minutes, yeah.
game. So
anything can happen.
You will get the result,
Yeah.
viewers, live
Oh, yeah.
on Football Goulash.
So, we're going to go through the first 5 games of the day, and we're going to throw a little bit of a twist in here. Basically, we're going to take a look
What
at
a
the
twist!
people that lost the games, and we're going to say, really, why? So, let's take a look at the first
boy.
game that I've got here. It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons. Captain, I have to ask you a question.
Son, I will
How
tell you why.
did you know that the Buccaneers were going to win? By the way, listeners / viewers, if you don't know, the captain is the only one that picked Tampa Bay to win, while Mr. Beagle and I picked the Falcons.
You know what? Because I'm a smarty pants. Because
Mike Smith said he was going to play like he was
I'm
going to
a
win.
smarty pants, and I can't believe, I would not believe Mike Smith as far as I can throw that guy, okay? Here's my reasoning for picking the Bucs, and why they won today. A, I'm awesome. B, the Falcons had nothing to lose. They locked up the #1 seed. They couldn't fall. You can't get higher than #1. What the hell do they care? Seriously. They probably... Okay, by the start of the 3rd quarter, they put in their 2nd stringers, their 3rd stringers. They just stopped caring. And that was why the Bucs cared, because they were playing for pride.
The next game that I want to go over is the New York Jets against the Buffalo Bills.
Fetch me the bucket.
We all picked the Bills to win that one.
For obvious reasons. Sanchez was starting.
Yeah, I still, something.
It's
I don't
pathetic.
know whether to feel good or bad about McElroy hiding his concussion symptoms.
I don't think he hid any concussions. It was just they didn't discover them until after the game. Because you do tests. Not
You get
all
sacked 11 times. Look at somebody's head.
Yeah, no, that's not the point though. I guess that is the point.
Yes.
The other point being is that with concussion symptoms, not all of them can pop up automatically. You will get concussion symptoms later on, an hour, hour and a half after you've suffered one. So it's not unusual. I don't think that's why. Oh, he caught it. I don't think he. Man, I hate that guy. I don't think he was hiding them. I just think he was legitimately playing through legitimate concussion, and that they didn't figure it out until later.
Well, when I found out that Sanchez was starting, that was one
That was
reason.
despicable.
But at the same time, I really didn't think that the Jets were going to even bear to win a game, especially considering that they lost against the Chargers. Once that happened, I said, "There's no way that they're going to." After the season,
They lost to Tennessee.
They lost to Tennessee in a. Oh, he dropped it. That's the exact opposite.
Anyway,
Concentrate.
yeah, dude.
Sorry.
Moving right along, we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Tennessee Titans. It was Titans across the board.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't think that the Jacksonville Jaguars, even though they were sort of like getting a little bit of momentum going, I just didn't think the Tennessee Titans were going to be able to let them get by.
That was a why did this happen game.
Losing Maurice Jones-Drew pretty much eliminated the Jaguars from doing anything relevant.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And he's out until May.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Cleveland Browns against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was Steelers across the board?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Browns put up a fight though.
I mean,
Not really.
look,
They lost by 20. They lost by 15, didn't they?
That was only in the last.
I mean, I will
couple
say
minutes.
this: the Steelers in the past couple of weeks, like they were really like losing some heartbreakers.
Oh, yeah.
like, if you're a Steelers fan, of course.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. They kind
I know
of dug
one.
their own hole.
I
so.
bowl with the Steelers fan.
Oh man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's sad bastard.
Yeah. Collapse dynasties. It happens every couple of years. You see it. It's clockwork, really.
Baltimore Ravens versus Cincinnati Bengals. Captain.
Called it, y'all.
How?
How? The Bengals wanted it more.
Really?
I legitimately believe so. The Ravens knew they had a playoff spot locked up.
So
I
did the
don't think-
Bengals, though. The thing, though, the Bengals were locked
No.
into the 6th spot. They
Yeah.
couldn't change it no matter what happened.
Yeah, but they wanted to play spoiler. Oh, sacked. They,
That's London Fletcher.
yeah. Oh man, he's good.
Flag.
Oh, really? Finishing my thought. I think the Bengals wanted to play spoiler, and they wanted to show the NFL what they could do, especially to such a crippled Steelers team.
Yeah.
That on paper is a legitimate threat, but on field, man, they've been looking kind of sad.
I
Ravens.
just didn't think
Ravens.
that.
Ravens.
I really did not expect the Ravens to let this one slip. I really didn't, because of the fact that they've just been. Listen, based
wouldn't
on
have been
how many
surprised,
people
though.
on that team have been injured throughout this entire year, go through the laundry list of names.
Yeah, but getting healthy again, though. That's where
Yeah.
I made my mistake.
I know.
Yeah.
When is Ray Lewis coming back, by the way?
He was supposed to come
First
back
round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
They said after I said
He was
that
on
he
the
was going to be
sideline
back,
today.
after I said a few weeks ago that he was going to be back, they announced the next day that he will not be back until the playoffs start.
And I think that was actually one of the smartest things for them to do.
Especially with him, he's older.
They need him.
They-
know
yeah.
that he's a major.
He's the
he is
anchor of the
He's
defense.
the heart and soul of this team.
Yeah, he
Well,
is.
when the Ravens locked up the AFC door, they knew they were going to get home field advantage
At least for
for the first round.
that
anyway.
part, yeah.
So comment, like, and subscribe, and we're going to pull away from our talk of the picks, and we're going to go to our final get on the boat and get off the goat for the season for Week 17 with the Ranting Beagle.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or the hell you are. On this week's edition of Get on the Boat, Get off the Goat, we look at the highs and lows of weeks 16 and 17. But, I mean, it's pretty obvious, the GOAT, so I'm just going to go with that one first. My New York Jets. WTF, mate? If you weren't going to implement Tebow, and I know exactly why, and I said earlier why they didn't implement Tebow, because Ryan and Sperano were scared that they would have to change their entire offense the way John Fox did in Denver, then cut him right away. Don't, bring him along throughout the season and just, let him sit there collecting dust. Anyway, I mean, that was a total mismanage of your roster, total mismanage of the weapons you had at your disposal, and just a total screw-up of an entire team for a whole season. It was a pathetic attempt at anything good. My final boat. This was tough. I had to look through a lot of footage to pick my boat for the last 2 weeks total, and it's gonna go to Russell Wilson.
Oh wow!
A man who has surpassed all expectations. A man who wasn't even gonna be the starter in the preseason.
Nope.
A man who broke Peyton Manning's record for most touchdowns by a quarterback in his rookie season by 1. He got 2 today, which brings his season total to 27. One throwing and 1 rushing.
Man.
So 27, which breaks Peyton Manning's record of 26, and he's leading his team into the playoffs.
Yeah.
For a rookie, that's fantastic. I mean, Luck is in, which is fantastic. Griffin III might be in, which is fantastic. But you expected that. That was the number 1 and number 2 picks respectively. Russell Wilson was what, 3rd round pick?
Third. And they had just signed Matt Flynn.
Yeah, they just signed Matt Flynn to a
godly
huge amount of money.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go to the Jets.
He's just.
Anyway, he, coming out of the Big Ten, it's not really a huge football conference. It's big, but not the biggest. And he just floored everybody and is an exciting player to watch because you never quite know what he's going to do.
Mr. Beagle, what is your stat of the week?
My stat of the week is I have tallied in my head the amount of times the captain has farted on my couch this season.
Have you really?
Yes.
That's probably countable. Yeah.
Do you know what the number is?
Should I ballpark or?
Well, this is our what, 18th show?
This is our 18th show, including
You have farted 39 times on this couch.
Have I? Yeah.
Now, we haven't recorded all of our shows in this place.
Oh, I got one.
We've recorded about 15 of our 18 here.
I'm gonna make
a few of them are at our other studio. I am Mr. Beagle, and that was Get on the Boat, Get off the Goat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And we're
Griffin going deep and incomplete.
Way overthrown.
We're going to go to the Chicago Bears against the Detroit Lions.
Ugh.
Bears across the board.
Scared me, though.
But
Yeah.
still.
I wanted the Lions to win only because I was rooting for the hometown Giants also. So,
But,
even though I picked the Bears, it just, it was one of those inevitable things.
but still, that Bears team,
Spooky!
with what they had, watching them go into a downward spiral, losing Cutler to concussions, losing Urlacher, possibly could have lost Forte today, but he still played.
Yeah, he was in, yeah.
I mean, with the talent that team had all season, and having the control of the NFC North for pretty much 2/3 of the season, I just feel so bad when a team like this crashes and burns.
They, you know what? They fell by their. I don't feel so bad. Oh God, catch 'em.
Go.
Oh, that's
Oh,
yes,
wow.
flag.
Yeah, that's flags all over
Flag.
the place. Hey! Look at the score,
That's a
buddy.
horse collar if I ever saw
There's
one.
still 6.5 minutes left, and no one's been more successful in the second half of the season. No one has been more successful in the fourth quarter than Tony Romo.
2 words for you: Tony and Romo equals fail.
We'll see.
Yeah.
You're probably right, but we'll see.
History tells me that I'm right.
Yes.
Anyway, are we done with the Bears?
Yes.
Bears are done.
Okay.
Literally.
Yeah.
Now I gotta basically hit myself on the head. Why in God's name did I pick the Texans over the Colts?
Nobody
today?
I
knows.
have no idea.
I pick Indianapolis.
I
That was a smart
said
choice.
back in our Week 15 show that the
That's
Texans were going to
true.
win in Houston and the Colts are going to win in Indy. I predicted it.
It's
3
true,
weeks ago.
yeah.
Well, with
It's
how
true.
strong they were looking throughout the entire season and how wishy-washy they were looking for the rest of the season, what do you think is going to happen with them in the playoffs now? 'Cause
Houston?
I picked them to win the
Playoffs?
Super Bowl.
Well, they don't even get a first round bye now that they
No,
lost.
that goes to the Broncos.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute when we reveal the playoff picture.
Yeah.
But the Houston Texans, they have to pull themselves together and come away with a home win. Who are they playing?
They are playing the.
They're playing
bring up the
Cincinnati.
picture.
I think they're playing Cincinnati.
Are they?
We'll talk later.
Really?
Yes, they're playing Cincinnati.
They're playing
All
Cincinnati.
right, it
Wow.
should be a relatively easy win for them, quite honestly, but we'll get to that later.
We're going to talk about the Green Bay Packers against the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh.
I
That's why
really
we're in the current
was-
prediction.
predicament, yes.
Yeah,
Pickle.
the captain and I picked the Packers to win, and unfortunately things didn't go in our favor.
Nope.
But Mr. Beagle,
Well,
how'd you do it?
Good pick, man. Good pick.
The Vikings almost messed it up because they tried too hard to let Adrian Peterson break the record. He didn't, but he set a new career high in carries. I think he had like 36 total carries,
something like that.
which is way too much for him, quite honestly. They should limit him to 25.
Too much of a workload.
Yes.
He can't be the one carrying that team.
No,
Not
but
if you want to keep them for a while.
But he is. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I knew they were going to win because I knew the Packers were just not gelling on defense. They possibly could be the worst defense in the league next to the Saints.
Ugh.
And I don't know. I just had a feeling that the Vikings were just going to come through.
Was this trip really necessary, the Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots?
No, not the least.
They scored.
They didn't score
3 points,
anything.
right? They scored 3.
They scored 3?
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised.
Dan Carpenter actually made one.
Wow.
Yeah, it was actually Patriots across
Was
the
that
board
like
for
his
all
third
of
of the
us.
season?
But let me ask a crazy question, guys, because someone actually brought this up today. What are your thoughts on the possible new Miami Dolphins logo next season?
I like it. It looks a little more streamlined. It's okay. I've never been a fan of the Dolphins' colors, to be quite honest.
Well, it's
They
because
pull
it's
it off.
Miami. They do it. It's always been Miami.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
Spanish tile color.
the new logo looks a little bit too streamlined, a little bit too new agey for my taste.
And now it makes the Oakland Raiders the only team with a helmet on their logo.
That's true. They're
That's
the only
true.
yeah.
And now let's take a look at
wow.
another one. Mr. Beagle, how'd you do it? The Carolina Panthers at
Yeah,
the
man.
New Orleans Saints.
Oh, easy. I knew that Cam Newton and
You didn't know Derek Anderson.
I didn't
was
know
gonna be
Derek
in the
Anderson
game.
was going to play,
No
but
way.
I knew that Cam Newton and the three-headed running attack was going to be too much for the Saints defense.
I thought they could get their stuff together. The Saints.
Yeah,
Apparently they didn't.
Because based on that game that they played against Dallas last week, it was?
Oh boy, yeah.
Comment, like, and subscribe, and I have to say that I am really excited, and yet a tear is being shed because this is the last lessons learned by our great Captain
Dose snap.
Shenanigans and the
Touchdown,
Dallas Cowboys
touchdown, Dallas.
just scored with 5 minutes and 50
boy.
seconds to play. The captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign, so
Well, hang
please...
on. I want to see this first.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's pay attention.
This is live, folks.
Yeah,
so
you can
Yeah, that's
this is
right.
amazing. That's right.
Oh, he didn't go shotgun. And he
Oh,
caught it.
wow!
Oh,
He
wait a
caught
minute.
it. What a catch!
Wow. Okay,
Wow.
kudos to the Cowboys for that one.
That was good. That was a
Wow, wow.
In the meantime,
Okay.
the fasten seatbelt sign has been turned on, as well as the no smoking sign, so put your seat backs and your tray tables into their upright positions, because it is time for the final lessons learned with Captain Shenanigans for 2012.
Indeed,
Go ahead.
folks. This is your captain speaking, and of course, this is Lessons Learned. Week number 16 and 17, really.
This will be interesting.
Yeah, really. Okay. First, lesson learned. Seattle rain. Get it? Yeah, it's another wordplay joke. No?
It rained again today too.
Fine. Seahawks look to be on the verge of a great era. How soon will they be stolen by Oklahoma City?
Oh.
Seattle is
Wow.
fun to watch, but does Pete Carroll have to be such a dick about it? Yes, apparently. Lesson number 2. The Giants were crushed by the Falcons. Eli was worried that Santa saw his bad game. Anybody? No?
No,
You know what? All right, fine.
that's cute.
Lesson number 3. Ooh, this one's good. Andy Reid is going to coach the final Philadelphia game this season in New York. Unless... Riot! No? He's still fired anyway. Lesson number 4. Anyway, the real lesson number 4. Patriots managed to outlast the Jaguars last week. Wait, what? Meanwhile, Big Ben Rapisberger, winless since the birth of his son. Postpartum depression?
Ooh.
Yeah, I know, that was rough. That was rough.
Oh my god.
And of course, your last lesson learned. Number 5. The NFC playoff picture. Cowboys still in control? Despite another loss, the Cowboys only need to beat the Redskins right now, this week, to make the playoffs. In what hilarious manner will they blow this opportunity? 2 words. Tony and Romo. Meanwhile, Calvin Johnson defeats the Madden Jinx. Or he could have died suddenly during the middle of the game.
And that, folks, and fans of the Captain, I'm sure there's plenty of you out there, thank you for watching and or listening. This was your Captain speaking.
I have to say one thing. I'd like to shake this gentleman's hand. You did a great job this season. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
So let's continue with the picks as we go to the Philadelphia Eagles against the New York Giants. Okay,
Really?
I'm going to kick myself in the butt because, look, what can I say?
Why?
The Eagles, no matter how good or how bad, for some strange reason, they like to give the Giants fits.
Yeah,
but
that's
I
true.
also have to say one thing. Why did the Giants have to go and win that game?
I have no idea. They won in such convincing fashion that it kind of makes me want to take a time machine backwards and be like, why?
Here's an interesting side note, by the way. Mark Sanchez and Eli Manning both had 205 yards. The difference was Sanchez had 2 picks, Manning had 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, you take a look at how they played this week, and then you see that they lost to Cincinnati. They lost to Atlanta. They lost
Wow, did they
to
lose to
Baltimore.
Atlanta?
Like they literally lost it. It was their division to lose.
They-
And now
yeah.
they are out.
They could have won it, and they failed to do so, which is really sad.
Let's go to the Oakland Raiders against the San Diego Chargers.
That was
We
my
all
runner-up
picked-
for the toilet bowl.
We all picked the Chargers to win. Does North Turner have a chance of keeping his job?
No, because Oakland came back.
Yeah,
And almost
Oakland
won.
came back, and the Chargers still have a losing season.
Well, North Turner will still have the best quote of the entire year. We didn't expect Ray Rice to run all 29 yards.
You know, North Turner is going to get hired by another NFL team, and he's going to be like an offensive coordinator. So, maybe.
So now let's take a look at one team that I know that Mr. Beagle had a couple of things to say about. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Denver Broncos, who are now the AFC
Number
1 Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
I will admit that I did not think Manning and that offense could gel together. I didn't.
Who knew?
You know, Peyton Manning has revitalized Brandon Stokely, the ageless wonder now.
Yeah.
And I really didn't think Eric Decker could be in number 1, but you know what? He wasn't. Denarius Moore.
Denarius Moore.
Yeah.
Denarius Moore was actually the number 1.
Yeah, that's right. He beat him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
it's not that he beat him out. Eric Decker on paper is
That's
number
true.
1, but Moore had
Moore-
more receptions.
Correct. But Decker had more touchdowns.
Yes, and you know what? Manning makes receivers better.
That's why he's my number 1 quarterback in my book. Because you can put him on any team and he'll succeed. He'll make other players better.
Based on the season, I would agree with you.
I've been saying it for years, man.
Well-
you know how many crappy Colts teams he's been on? Oh,
Not too
man.
many.
Wait a minute,
No, a bunch.
Captain.
Oh.
If I may
Oh,
refute
no.
you. If I may refute you, Captain,
Go
I don't
ahead.
recall the last time that you actually, when we ranked those quarterbacks, you didn't have Peyton Manning at number 1. I did.
Before this
That was
season.
before the season. He is actually my number 1 this season now.
Mhm.
He proved himself. There's no doubt in my mind that he is a number 1.
Oh yeah,
There in New
and
York.
I was trying to figure out this guy's
There in
name, but
Denver?
look
Sure.
at here's another unsung hero that was on the Broncos team. No Sean Moreno.
He only ran because of the injury to Willis McGahee.
Yeah. He
See,
did
as
his job.
McGahee as the starter, I wasn't fond of. I didn't think he could go the whole season.
They needed a 3-back system in Denver
Well,
to
not
succeed.
about a 3-back, but definitely a 2-back.
Eh.
I knew that Willis McGahee was not going to last the whole season, and I honestly wasn't confident in Noshawn Moreno based on his performance last year. But he matured this year, and like I said before, Peyton Manning makes other players better.
Uh-huh.
All right. If we basically could call the Jets the greatest show on earth, let's take a look at the Big Apple Circus version, and that would be the second-rate circus, the Arizona Cardinals against the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know which team had a more embarrassing season.
Well,
this
I will
year.
say that Arizona had a 6-0 lead on San Francisco in the second quarter.
For like a long time.
I mean,
Yeah.
to have what you had, a 5-game undefeated season,
Oh, come on.
to suddenly just lose it all and then go
no
to this
quarterback.
Yeah.
They used their 4th string
Exactly.
today.
Yeah, they did. He entered the league of infamous.
You also lose
2012
lose
quarterbacks.
4 starters on your offensive line. You lose 4 defensive starters, and you lose all 3 running backs at one point.
Fired the conditioning coach, because seriously, there's something wrong with that.
No, it's not quite that simple.
And now we're going to
Nothing
go
ever
to
is.
the St. Louis Rams against the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh,
and it's picked off.
intercepted.
Yeah, that's
Man.
Romo.
That
minutes
was
left.
Romo. And they just put up... Folks, if you're watching along with us, and I really hope you are because this is a game to watch,
Jerry Jones is about to look for the bucket.
he's going to cry.
Oh my God.
But that's not the point.
That's a
That's
hockey
the
player.
ugliest Dallas Cowboys fan I have ever seen. The point being... The point being is that they had just put up a nice fancy stat on the screen about how Tony Romo is 118 quarterback percentage and 8 touchdowns and yada yada yada, no interceptions, and he throws an interception.
That's Romo being Romo.
Yeah, well, he's not Manny, but I guess that applies right there.
Players like him.
He's mad.
Anyway, the St. Louis Rams had a very interesting season this year, I have to admit.
Roller coastery.
They
That's all
lost
I can say.
one game to a division rival.
One.
They played spoiler badly for the NFC West.
The
What
entire
does the future
NFC West.
hold for Jeff Fisher and this team now?
Jeff Fisher is going to stay.
They're
on
a
the
young team. Fisher's going to stay. They're a young team, and I honestly think they're not going to change all that much. They're going to get better.
But they played against
If they
Seattle.
draft smart, then they should have a nice young team that should develop into a contender somewhere down
They
the
need
line.
a good backup for Steven Jackson.
They do.
But they played against
I don't
Seattle, in Seattle. Let's face
Yeah.
it, they didn't have a chance. in
Seattle
hell.
did-
Seattle's
Seattle-
ridiculous. this
You know, it's
season.
funny, because Atlanta lost, Seattle was the only team this year to go undefeated at home.
That's correct.
8-0
oh
at
my
home.
God, that's scary.
What's scary is that Seattle only won 3 games on the road, and their playoff game was on the road.
Oh wow, that's scary. They're not getting past the first round then.
I see tears in Romo's eyes.
Oh, he's crying. Oh, look at him go. Oh, that's a fat one. Oh, man,
See the boogers running.
that is just sad. Yeah, look at that.
He is not happy.
Somebody get him
Wow.
a tissue. Come
Wow.
on.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're actually watching this, you are witnessing a grown man
This
cry.
is a sad man who's going to go out to
Well,
like the nearest, TGI
I mean, wait,
Fridays
wait.
and drink himself.
But the game is not over yet, guys.
Hey,
He
there's
has
still
disappointed every single person in Dallas.
and
I
some
think
other
we
people
may,
in Texas.
we may have seen the end of his career in Dallas today.
We'll see. I don't know
They're
about
going to
that.
give him 1 or 2 more seasons, but
Well-
they're going to draft quarterbacks this.
Jerry
this upcoming-
Jones has never been known for his patience.
Jerry Jones has never been known for anything except stupid.
Actually, he's not.
Well, in my book is right.
Anyway, comment, like, and subscribe, and we're going to go, of course, to my segment, as always, the one that these two gentlemen can't stand when I talk about it. The heroes,
Tres
the heroes
pepitos.
and busts of Week 16 and 17. I want to give the Saints as a whole in Week 16 the hero, just because of the fact that here is a team that was literally wrapped in controversy. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the game, hands down, but having no defense, no coach, and they still managed to have a not so bad season. You gotta give credit to what credit's due to the guys that managed to at least leave the year with dignity. And then we've got our second hero, and that would be Andrew Luck. A guy who had a lot of expectations, took him a little bit of time to finally get into his groove, and when he did, let's put it this way, he made magic with this team. And not only did he do that, he got them to the playoffs. What can you possibly say about that? Anyway, the bust for Week 16, I have to give it to Jim Schwartz. I mean, here's a guy who's coaching a team that, in fact, is, as the captain has said before, the best worst team in the NFL. A team that has basically been at the bottom of the NFC barrel for years. And yet, this time around, they have a very decent quarterback in Stafford, somewhat of a decent running game when Javon Best is healthy, and of course, you've got Calvin Johnson, Megatron himself. But you got a coach that doesn't know how to work the clock.
He looks like a shifty-eyed ferret.
He did it 3 times in the past few games, and stupidly, I might add. Now, who do I give the bust of Week 17 to? You guys ready for this?
Go ahead, bust all over us.
The
Wait,
New
what?
York Giants.
Ooh, snap.
Say what you will about the New York Jets, but you couldn't be more humiliated about yourselves than the New York Giants.
Ugh.
You basically had your entire division in control. It was just a matter of you putting the last nail in the coffin. And you know what? You blew it. I don't know what this is going to say about Manning. I guarantee you he's going to be coming back, hopefully stronger. They're not going to get rid of Coughlin. They're not going to get rid of Cruz or any of those guys on defense. They're not going to change a goddamn thing.
Are you allowed to say that on YouTube?
I'm going to make sure that I do this time.
Snap!
And you know what? That's what scares me. And I don't even root for them. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for dealing with me for the past 17 weeks. And that was my heroes and busts of week 16 and 17.
4 more weeks to go.
That's right.
So,
Playoffs.
as we are...
Playoffs?
Well, the problem is, we were hoping to actually have a final score when we go over the last game of week
man, we
17,
got
which is
2.5.
Dallas versus Washington.
Well, in the meantime, we can go over the AFC playoff picture.
That's
So
right.
that's what we're going to do. Playoffs?
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 Now, the actual days and times are not yet set.
They're subject to
But
whatever the hell.
next week, we shall have the 6th-seeded Cincinnati Bengals at the 3rd-seeded Houston Texans.
Close.
And then we will have the 5th-seeded Indianapolis Colts at the 4th-seeded Baltimore Ravens. And I think
Tough.
that's going to be the game of the week.
That's
Really?
Yeah, that's a game to watch.
How
That
so?
is a game to watch.
That's going to be
How
rough
so?
on
Well,
everyone.
to be quite honest, I mean, are we making our picks for the playoffs now?
Oh, man.
I guess we could do
I'm
that.
Okay.
going to wing it,
Then
but
let's
I'm not
go-
going to put too much...
Okay, so Baltimore, Houston. I'm going to pick Houston. I think Houston at home against a Bengals team that just kind of sort of sneaked in there. You know, despite the win over Baltimore, I don't think they have enough to stop Houston.
I mean, I'm going to say this. I would also pick Houston as well, but I don't think it's going to be an easy victory for Houston. I still wouldn't even be surprised if the Bengals pulled an upset.
I would.
I would be. It's not going to be easy for the Texans. They're not going to take this as seriously as they should, just like they haven't been taking the last couple of weeks seriously, as they should have. But I think it's going to be one and done for the Bengals.
Yep.
Sorry.
Now the Colts versus the
That's
Ravens.
going to be tough. That's going to be tough, man.
If Ray Lewis is coming back,
Which he is.
there's
He
going to be a
is.
fire lit under that entire team's rear. Guys, look,
That's going to be...
Andrew Luck had a great season.
I'm really glad for this game that there's no ties in the playoffs. There's just overtime after overtime. We
Yeah,
may
it
see
just
our
keeps
first
going.
ever double overtime playoff game in this new format.
I would
again-
actually call that. Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying that it's going to be a blowout. I
crazy.
just don't think.
Oh, it's going to be
Ravens are
nowhere
gonna
near a
stop.
blowout.
The Ravens are
Both
not gonna
teams
let
are going to
this
play
one
their
go.
hearts out in the first round,
I
especially
do
this
think
game.
the Ravens will come through because I think their offense is a little bit better than the Colts defense.
I was going to say the exact opposite in that I think the Ravens defense is slightly better than the Colts defense. And what wins games, especially in the playoffs? Defense.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we've reached the 2-minute warning, guys.
All right,
Ooh,
well,
boy.
we know at least one of the NFC matchups.
That's true.
This is like the
It's gonna
longest
change
2
up,
minutes.
yeah.
The 6th-seeded Minnesota Vikings.
Hold that thought.
Oh, wait a minute. Stopped.
Nope.
Nope.
So
1 yard,
close.
2 yard line maybe.
The 6th-seeded Minnesota Vikings will play at the 3rd-seeded Green Bay Packers. Well, it's a January playoff game in Green Bay. Who do you think's gonna win?
Of course Green Bay is going to
Bay
win.
is gonna, and I actually think that they're going to embarrass Minnesota.
The 12th man.
Yeah, they're
3rd
terrible.
and goal.
3rd and goal.
If
minute
they stop
15
them,
left.
they have a chance. If they don't, the game is over.
He's in.
Touchdown.
He's in.
Touchdown.
That's the
Redskins.
game. Still a
With a
minute 9
minute-
left, but
Hey,
Washington.
listen, we've seen weirder things happen in less than a minute.
Well, Washington will be up by 10 with a minute 9 to go. Wait,
Like I said, what? No.
hold on.
That was a
No.
touchdown.
We have a touchdown signal, but a Cowboy
But-
came away with the ball.
They're having a.
I kind of want to unmute
Let's
this.
turn to the audio, folks. Wow.
It'll be reviewed.
It'll be reviewed because all scoring drives are reviewed.
Yes.
Especially
live,
with this.
folks.
Hold on. So let's see. He's got the ball. He's running. He's
He broke-
over the line.
He broke the plane
and
before
then he
the-
fumbles the ball.
He broke the plane before the ball was fumbled,
Correct,
but it'll
yeah.
be reviewed anyway.
It'll be reviewed, but I don't think it's going to be overturned.
All right, if you're still sticking
They've
with
wasted
us,
too much time, people.
If you're still sticking with us, we're at the final 15 seconds of the game.
And that's it, right
And
there.
that is the game,
And
folks.
that is the game, ladies and gentlemen.
5, 4, 3,
If they spike it.
2,
1.
Congratulations, Captain Shenanigans. How do you feel? You don't have to eat a shoe.
I feel ecstatic.
And you win the belt.
And I win the belt for the season, and I don't have to eat a shoe.
Which means you have to go out and buy a belt.
Okay.
Mr.
This one doesn't
Captain,
work?
I expect to see you in a burgundy suit
burgundy
and a mustard
suit.
yellow and a mustard yellow shirt next week.
All right.
Captain, it was a good competitive season.
It was a great competitive season. To all of you. Okay, both of you.
And
your
kudos
run for my money.
And kudos to the Lawn Gnome for being the only one with more than 100 losses.
Yeah,
What is the final tally?
The final tally.
149, 104, and
1.
That one's gonna kill.
Hey, seriously.
we now have the Captain and Mr. Beagle tied at 159, 94, and 1.
I couldn't get the 160. Seriously.
That one tie, did we differ on that game?
No.
That was the St. Louis, San Francisco. I think we both
Correct.
picked San Fran.
We both picked San Fran.
If we differed on that game, that would have been
man.
But the Captain is the winner of our very
By
first,
virtue of tiebreaker.
our very
Yes.
first
Yeah.
season of Up From the Underground Presents Football.
Yes.
So, now that we
Wait,
have
I don't
the
get
final...
a speech? I'd like to thank all my friends.
Shut the hell up.
And my girlfriend, and beer, and
Beat you over
sugar.
I'm going to beat you over the head with your own...
Please
something.
don't.
So let's talk about the next game. So the Redskins against...
Yeah, it would be
Redskins against the Seahawks.
I'm picking the
Ooh.
Seahawks,
Wow. Away from home, across the country.
but it's playoff time.
You know what? I'm picking the Seahawks.
Wow. Man, I'm doing Redskins.
Well, we're not. This is not part of any tally. This is not part of anything that we've been doing all season.
The so-called Sherry and Giggles, y'all.
Interesting side note and statistic here. When was the last time you remember all 12 playoff teams having at least 10 wins?
I have no idea.
No
Oh,
9 and
it's been
7
a
teams.
long
No
time.
8 and 8 teams.
That's
You
been
want to
no
go
7
gather
and
that
9
and get for a
teams.
stat of the week next time we record?
I'm too lazy.
I remember the
Alright.
last 7 and 9 team to reach the playoffs.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Seattle. Now they're 11 and 5.
So,
Disgusting.
gentlemen, I want to thank you both for a fantastic, well done season 1.
Yeah.
We will be back for the playoffs, of course, everybody.
Of course.
And you can always listen to this week's episode as well as the rest of the season on our wonderful channel.
Football goulash.
Now we won't have a chance to record before the playoff games, so this is our little preview.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You'll
that's
basically
true,
you'll basically hear from us after Wild Card Weekend.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
When
The-
the teams
The
that
Tuesday afterward
We'll
we
be
will
around.
record.
Yes.
So, on behalf of the notorious Mr. Beagle and Captain Shenanigans, I am the Lawn Gnome leaving you with a question.
Where's my goulash?
Did your team make the playoffs this year? And
Nope.
how far do you think they're going?
Not far at all.
None.
Yeah.
I am the
Back
Lawn
in.
Gnome, reminding you that actions speak louder than words. Oh, God.
That's poetic.
I know, right? Seriously. Check that out. I'm an artist, y'all.
We'll find your latest work in the Guggenheim.